Hi guys. I apologize if I look a little weepy. If you watched my last video, you understand why. We've had to say goodbye to our beloved Rottweiler, and I still have those moments where I just burst into tears and really miss him. But I'm trying to hang on best as I can. So today's video, I want to show you how to make your own apple cider vinegar. And my dear friend Kathy, thank you very much, gave me this recipe and shared this with me. And she showed me where she was making it and her progress. And I was just amazed. And so I got the recipe and I started my own batch. And when you see how simple this is, you're going to wonder why you were paying so much for that organic with the mother apple cider vinegar. Okay, so you're gonna need a jar, just any size jar, and it's gonna depend on how many apples or apple cores, apple peels, all of that you have. That's gonna depend on how big your jar is, right? So I'm just using a little one because I have got one apple core, because that was my apple from yesterday. And then I've got an apple that's starting to go mush, and that happens to me a lot. You know, they just start to go bad, or they were in the bag too close to the others. Now, I have organic apples, and so therefore I am making organic apple cider vinegar, right? It just kind of stands to reason. So I'm gonna just kind of lop off this bad part. Not that I think it matters. I probably could use that bad part, but I'm taking it off and just kind of cutting that out as best as I can. And then I'm going to just slice up this apple. Now, if you want to just save your peels and your cores, then of course do that if you don't have an apple that's starting to turn. So I'm putting this all in here and just filling my little jar. Okay? So my jar is full. There we go. So if you want to just save your apple peels, apple cores, whatever, and just put them in a jar, you can do that. Now, if you have a big jar, you would use 2 spoons. I have a little jar, I'm just going to use 1 of just raw honey. Now, I know as vegans we don't normally use honey, but I keep honey in my house for medicinal purposes because I use them in my natural remedies. All right, I'm just going to dribble that in there. So I use raw local honey for medicinal purposes, and I consider making apple cider vinegar along those lines. Nothing wrong with that. I don't use it in my tea anymore just because I don't need to. If I felt like I needed to, if I needed that sweet, then of course I would use it and I wouldn't feel bad about that. But you do you. This is how we make the apple cider vinegar, and it needs the honey. And the reason why I think it needs the honey, I don't know, I didn't ask, was honey is naturally antimicrobial and antibacterial. So it's going to stop any nasties from growing in here as your apples turn into vinegar, okay? So you don't want that stuff to grow in there. So the honey is going to prevent that. So if you're on the fence of whether or not to use honey, keep that in mind, okay? And then the only other thing we do is just pour water up to the top. Okay? And that's my filtered water from my zero water filter. And then I take a little piece of muslin and I put it over the top because I want it to be able to breathe. All right, and then I've got a rubber band, an elastic for those across the pond. Just a little elastic. And I'm gonna secure this muslin to my top. Now, if you have a lid with the opening, you can do that as well, as I've done in this one. And I've got 2 jars to show you that I've started. These are about a week old. Okay, and you can see that in there. That's apple cider vinegar, guys. Smells like apple cider vinegar. It's apple cider vinegar. So this is a week old. What you're going to do is you're going to leave it for 2 weeks. Just kind of gently shake every now and again if you need to. Then you're going to strain out the apples and keep the liquid. And then put your top back on, your little piece of muslin and cheesecloth. People call it cheesecloth. And let it set another 2 weeks and then strain it one more time. And then that little sediment down there in the bottom, that's where you'll see on the jar of Bragg's where it says with the mother. That's the mother. That's what that is. So very, very simple recipe. Sit this underneath your counter with where you've put your vinegar and your citrus peels to make your cleaners and all that, just in a nice, cool, dark place. I just put it underneath my sink, close the doors, and forget about it, okay? And there you have it. You've made apple cider vinegar. Use it just like you would one that you bought at the store. And thank you, Kathy, for sharing this recipe with me so that I could share it with you. Have a good day, guys.